As tensions continue building in Iraq, the U.S. military is moving more resources now to Saudi Arabia. And even though the Iraqi parliament voted on January 5th to expel all foreign troops following the assassination of Iran's top general Qasem Soleimani, the U.S. rebuffed, saying American troops will remain there in order to continue training Iraqi forces. So still, the friction with Iraq and Iran appears to be forcing the U.S. to move not just the troops, but also a brand new fleet of fighter jets to its Saudi airbase. RT's Farron Franzak is joining us now with more on what this shift in military resources might mean. Farron?
Yeah, Manila, so the presence of U.S. troops has grown to about 2,500 since last summer, and these two F-15 fighter jets that the Air Force bought they're going to meet up with those troops in Saudi Arabia. Now, this all to beef up U.S. troops in response to what the DoD describes as threats from Iran. Now, take a look here. These fighter jets, they're going to the Prince Sultan Air Base. Now, Marine General Frank McKenzie says this base is located where it's at. It's a complicated target for Iran to hit, and it's a remote location for U.S. troops and fighter jets. It also gives Saudi Arabia more security. Now, these brand new Eagles will fly alongside the F-22 and F-35 stealth fighters. However, the new F-15 is anything but stealth. Rather, it can do what the other two fighters can't: carry lots and lots of missiles. Now, the last time that the Air Force bought an F-15 jet was all the way back in 2001, back when Boeing was bragging about how the jets had a, quote, active matrix liquid crystal display, which, as we know, some 20 years later, as your common everyday LCD screen. Now, these new upgraded jets have all the newest bells and whistles, including a new warning survivability system, and now the F-22 and F-35 jets could only carry 4 missiles. But when it comes to this F-15, it can carry up to 22. Now, the U.S.-Saudi Arabia relationship was initially built on America's dependence on Middle East oil, and the military connection has been strong, even during periods of stress, including in the aftermath of the September 11th, 2001 attacks, where most of those hijackers were Saudis. Now, the kingdom also has been harshly criticized in Congress for the 2018 killing of the Saudi Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi, and for its role in airstrikes in Yemen that killed many civilians. Now, despite some of these tensions, Trump says the kingdom remains an ally. Here's Trump even after the killing of Khashoggi. Listen here.
Saudi Arabia has been a very important ally of ours in the Middle East. We are stopping Iran. We're not trying to stop, we're stopping Iran. They are an ally. We have other very good allies in the Middle East, but if you look at Saudi Arabia, they're an ally, and they're a tremendous purchaser of not only military equipment, but other things.
Now, the Air Force is prepping to buy 2 F-15EXs. Each comes with a price tag of $80 million. Originally, it wanted to buy 8 fighters as a down payment on a force of at least 72, but Congress refused to buy the full 8, at least for now. However, Congress has agreed to fund another 6 jets, but only after the Air Force brings Congress a report outlining how it intends to buy the entire fleet, Manila.
So, Farron, how do these jets stack up against military jets from other countries?
So that's the interesting thing, Manila. The F-15 does fly higher, farther, and faster, and carries, like I mentioned, 22 missiles. But these jets would get crushed by Russia's S-400 missile defense system. Now, but the Air Force says they know what they're getting in of the F-15 in Saudi Arabia. The Air Force says many of the parts, roughly 70% of them, can actually use almost all the same ground equipment, hangars, simulators, and other support gear as the Eagles now in service. Reporting in Washington, Farron Franzak, RT.